Hello Power Rangers Lightning Collection fans, and welcome back to Lightning Storm. This is your lightning always strikes twice as we talk about everything that has happened in the past week for the Power Rangers Lightning Collection. Finally, so we can finally talk about it. So this has been a week of some leaks, some pretty exciting leaks out there, which is going to be balanced a little bit by still some layoffs and quality control things happening as well, because that's just the era of Lightning Collection that we're in, unfortunately. So just as I've done the last couple of weeks, especially last week where we talked about Samurai and Lightspeed and stuff like that, I'm going to start this video with the unfortunate news, and I guess sort of the complaining, and then we'll head into the really exciting stuff, because a lot happened this week leak-wise that I wasn't expecting. I still don't know exactly why it happened now, but it did, so we're going to talk about it. So let's go and get right into it. So jumping right into it here, unfortunately, we have another layoff to talk about. And it's sad because I'm sure we're never going to know the full extent of how many people were laid off from the Power Rangers team or who was laid off from the Power Rangers team with this whole thing that Hasbro's been doing. We did actually finally get their quarter 4 2022 earnings report thing, which shows that like Power Rangers did make some money, but like not a lot of money, or it's a lot of stuff that doesn't really pertain to Lightning Collection specifically, and I'm not going to pretend like I'm an expert on it, so I'm not really going to report on it at all, because I genuinely don't really know how earning calls work in stocks and all that kind of nonsense. But we knew ahead of it we were going to get those layoffs. We talked about it last week with some of the people that we found out about because they publicly posted about it, and we had another person, this time somebody who's been on a good amount of fan streams, especially recently, Sam. So Sam was someone who appeared on the streams as far back as like Hasbro PulseCon 2020, and even as recently as the most recent fan stream that we had on January 17th. They were right there at the end of it. They were there for the whole thing. They're actually going to come up later on in this episode because of something that happened with leaks, and there's just a clip where they're talking about it. So we're going to see Sam in this episode of Lightning Storm where I use a clip from that live stream. And it sucks. It sucks that we have another person that we actually saw in the streams like Corey gone. You know, it's such an unfortunate situation, because while we can complain about the Lightning Collection, and there's valid complaints and there's also some over complaining, it still sucks for people to lose their jobs for any particular reason, but especially when it's a series of layoffs because of financial reports. You know, it's just a really sucky situation. There's just no way to sugarcoat it there, and it's just really unfortunate that we lost another person that we can actually, like, you know, put both a face and a name to, who actually worked on this line and worked on this brand. So Sam, if you're watching by any strange chance, thank you for your time on the brand. You seem to really have a good presence on these live streams and like know what you were talking about and seem to actually care about the brand, and it sucks to have lost you here, but I hope if you're watching that you're moving on to bigger and better things. Okay, so this next story could go on rambly wise. I don't really want it to go on very rambly wise because I want to get to the leaks, because that's kind of the big thing that I really want to talk about. And this also could have probably or should have been in last week's Lightning Storm, but I just was kind of waiting on some more pictures and stuff of it. But it's possible we have like a second version of Dino Fury Green out there. So we've been talking about Dino Fury Green because of the fact that she has a number of quality control problems, especially if you got the figure more recently. And there was not really a reason why, but we sort of kind of maybe pinpointed like a particular reason or a possible explanation. So this is happening to a lot of people out there, and you have people like Dawson Rider, for example, actually having to post 2 different videos of broken Dino Fury Greens because he got one to review, it broke, so then he sent it back and did a video about that whole process or kind of how he had to do that. Then he got a second one, and it also broke. Now, for me, I was fortunate enough to, when I reviewed Dino Fury Green back in like early December, mine did not break. In fact, I have her. Where is she? She's sitting right here in one of those action figure containers that I use, which will link in the description below. Yeah, mine didn't break, and I will I'll test fate right now. So, as like Bruno did a video the other day on MMPR Toys where he kind of talked about, you know, heating up the figure and everything. I don't usually do that. I should, but here we go. There we go. So mine did not break where the entire neck joint popped out of the figure there. And it seems like, potentially, this is still not like an absolute proven fact, but it seems more likely that if you bought Dino Fury Green from that initial Big Bad Toy Store in stock period at the end of November, early December, you probably got one that didn't break. You still had like the sword bend issues and all that kind of stuff, but it was likely that this one probably wouldn't have that problem. But then now, with the Hasbro Pulse shipments and the Amazon shipments, there's a lot of people whose necks are just breaking super easily, even if you heat it up, or even regardless of what you do, just the entire neck joint kind of pops out. It was pointed out to me on Twitter about 2 weeks ago, so like I said, this probably should have been included in a more recent episode of Lightning Storm than this one. But it's potentially possible that there was like 2 factory runs on this figure. Well, obviously there's multiple factory runs, but it seems like the first batch of them has this matte painted black on the chest. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, basically the lightning bolt kind of pattern there is like a matte black paint. It's not very shiny or reflective. It matches Zeto's paint application from Wave 11 back when they released him. But on the newer shipments, it seems like people are getting one where the paint is more of a glossy or kind of a shine to it. You can really catch the lights and kind of balance it off or bounce it off of there, which this one I'm kind of trying to angle out the light doesn't really do that. I have one of the earlier batch ones because I ordered this probably within a week or two or so of this first popping up in stock on Big Bad Toy Store. Now, the only way to really know which batch you have is this little number that's engraved on the back there, which I'll try to get the light to catch it. There's a little number back there that's engraved, and the person who pointed out the whole matte black paint, shiny black paint thing showed off the numbers. Just for reference, mine is number 22571. I've never really seen any like matching numbers that would say, yes, this one is a matte black chest paint, or this one is a shiny black chest paint, but it does seem that the ones with the shiny black chest paint are more prone to breakage, while the ones with the matte black chest paint, which match Zeto, are less prone to breakage. I would say it's similar in comparison to the whole Lunar Wolf situation, where you had like earlier batches with the whole messed up stripes and boots, and later on batches got it more correct. But it seems like in this case, it's the opposite, where like if you got it earlier on, you probably had a better figure, and if you're getting it later on, you probably have a worse figure. Does that mean I have to track down a shiny black chest paint one? I think so. So I'm going to try to probably find one of those, which is weird that I'm going to kind of try to track down the one that is worse quality. But I've seen multiple different cases of this being the case, well, especially with the neck breakage, but I've seen multiple different cases of the difference in the chest paint that makes me think that there actually is a variant out there, or I guess a running change is what you'd be more classified it as, of this figure out there. So it's a weird thing, but basically there's no way to know, because of the fact that these figures are plastic-free packaging, there's no way to know by looking at it if you have the matte black paint or the shiny black paint. And like I said, if you have the shiny black paint, you're probably more prone to have a broken figure, or have an easier broken figure. Maybe the numbers are something, that's why I shared my batch number on the back of this, if that's any helpful to anybody in any capacity. But basically this is a story that I don't really know how to report on it, because it's kind of a weird thing that isn't like 100% proven, but there seems to be some evidence towards it possibly being the case. So essentially, if you own this figure, I'm very curious down in the description below, or in the comments below, well, first of all, what is the batch number if you have your box? And second of all, do you have the matte black chest paint or the shiny black chest paint? And how is the integrity of your figure's neck joint? I'm very curious about this to see how widespread of this actually is, and if there's actually some credence to the later ones being a different batch number that have different paint applications and are more brittle. I'm just very curious. Weird story. And now it's leak time. So we have basically like 3 stories of leaks to talk about here for the Lightning Collection this week. One from me, one from not me, and another one also not from me, but still all very exciting stuff nonetheless here. So we're just going to go ahead and jump on into it here with the stuff from me. So I can't say too much about this just yet, but I did post a tweet the other day that said that more Boom Studios comic figures are in the works for the Lightning Collection. And the reason why I can't say more than that is because, well, first of all, I've been asked not to, but also because I don't even know. So I know I've seen some evidence towards some more Boom Studios like coded figures out there, but I don't know who they are. I don't know which Ranger suits those would be, what characters from the comics would be. But if you're always hoping for, and if you were excited for more potential comic figures coming to the Lightning Collection, you're going to get some. So like I said, some of them I do know about, just can't say it. Some of them I don't know about. So stay tuned for that. I think it'll be exciting either way. I love the Boom Studios comics. In fact, I actually have one right here. I just got this in the other day. Mighty Morphin Volume 6, which is the one that just came out here. So that's not a hint or anything. I literally just the one that just released. So, but I'm not giving any other hints on that other than the fact that there are more Boom Studios figures on the way, and we should hopefully see some of them. I wouldn't say relatively soon, but within the next couple of months, definitely probably by the summer, we'll see some of this stuff. And like I said, also, I don't even know what some of it is anyway. it's just coded as Boom Studios stuff, and so I don't know. Comics. So I thought that was going to kind of be it for leaks for the week. I thought, oh, I can kind of bookend it or kind of have the clickbaity title be about Boom Studios comic stuff, and that would kind of be the end of it. But no, so what's fun about this is that I am not the only person who leaks Lightning Collection stuff out there, nor should I be. All leaks shouldn't just come from me. It's exciting to see other people out there posting stuff as well. And, well, we have some more stuff. So this, of course, comes from USO Health on Twitter, the classic account that posted all of those leaked photos at the beginning of January. It goes all the way back to December, has a perfect track record so far, so I definitely do believe this pieces of information here. So they posted this tweet that said, "So, I know you guys don't care about the remastered line, so I'll say who's going to be in the second wave," and posted a gif of Mighty Morphin Red and Mighty Morphin Black. So this is not two crazy pieces of news here. We knew that the other Rangers were going to get remastered figures in this whole remastered Mighty Morphin line. We knew that, but we didn't know which figures were exactly going to be, waves 1, 2, 3 per se. They're not really being branded as waves. They're all under the same general assortment number, so they're not really considered like a wave 1, 2, 3 kind of thing. But it does seem like we're going to get them in batches of 2, because of course we had blue and yellow, and now we're going to get red and black, which means it's probably a pretty safe bet to say that green and pink will be the third batch of these whenever we're going to get those. But this makes perfect sense to me because, that just makes sense as a good pairing. With the 4 that we have left, it makes sense to have Tommy and Kimberly on their own in a wave or a little mini wave. So you would have red and black be here. I don't know when we're going to see these or which one of the leaked codes that are probably the other 4 these match up to specifically, but I'm sure that's all stuff we're going to see somewhat soon because I'm sure they're going to want to get these all out maybe by the anniversary or definitely at least around that time frame. We should probably have all 6 of them out there. Now, the rest of this is interesting stuff here because this was actually the first time I had heard about some of this stuff, which was actually pretty rare with all the different sources that I have out there to not know about something. However, this is cool and it makes a lot of sense, and we actually might have immediately gotten some backed up evidence about it right after it was posted. So USO Ralph also posted saying, "Plus good news, Deluxe is also going to be great," and has the gif of Rita rising out of her dumpster. So yes, Remastered Rita is a thing that is also going to be happening in this line, which makes perfect sense. So we had kind of seen, and we'll talk about this in a second because that's kind of the backed up evidence I was talking about. We'd seen that artwork for Lord Zed, which seemed to kind of match or pretty similarly match the other artwork that we had on the remastered figures. So it kind of seemed to point to we would maybe be getting a 7th figure in this whole assortment, and it would potentially be Zed. But with this being the celebration of Season 1, it really wouldn't have made a lot of sense for Zed to be there anyway. Rita would have made a lot more sense. Also, Rita has sorely needed an upgraded Lightning Collection figure because, first of all, we got one 3 years ago, which was a while ago, and the one that we got wasn't even show accurate. She has that silver trim on the dress to kind of mimic the wedding, which, to be honest, I don't even remember if that silver trim dress is even in the episode. I think that might have just been something Hasbro made up for the silver wedding anniversary thing, which was a cool novelty thing, and it was always assumed 3 years ago that figure would get re-released later on as a standalone Rita, and surprisingly, shockingly, we never got that. Looks like we're gonna finally get that. So I haven't seen any pictures of this Rita or anything like that, but I would say that there's absolutely no way that this is not gonna have the gold trim dress. Then again, who knows with Hasbro sometimes, but I would say this is a pretty safe bet that we would finally get a proper Season 1 show-accurate standalone Rita in the remastered line. But then what was really funny is that on the same day, so I believe this was on Valentine's Day, that we had these leaks for Remastered Wave 2 and the Deluxe Rita, we got this piece of artwork posted by the official Power Rangers account that said, "Happy Valentine's Day, Ranger Nation. Name a better couple. We'll wait." Many, many people named many, many better couples from across the franchise. But what was important was this artwork. So this artwork says, "Happy Valentine's Day," and it has brand new artwork for Lord Zed and Rita Repulsa. That Lord Zed artwork, I wouldn't say coincidentally, because I guess it's a coincidence, but that's the same artwork as the leaked Amazon artwork that matches the other remasters. Also, not only do we finally get to see that being used in an official capacity, we have brand new Rita artwork, which would be, I'm sure, the artwork that's used on the remastered figure boxes for a Deluxe Rita. So it's just kind of really funny that we had this account that has a really good track record saying, "Hey, we're getting a Deluxe Remastered Rita," and then we immediately get artwork that's probably for that potential release. So really funny kind of thing that happened out with that. Lightning Collection leaks are always a time. So, and the next one here that we're going to talk about for the rest of this video is a whole thing. So I cannot wait to get to that in a second. But It does seem like we are going to be getting, well, of course, red and black as the next 2 remastered figures, with green and pink later on, and we're probably also going to be getting a deluxe Rita. Still not 100% sure if we're even going to get a remastered Zed, because I haven't heard about a Zed. I also haven't heard about a White Ranger. Both things that would seem pretty likely, I'd say. If maybe not this year, maybe we'd get remastered kind of dipping into next year a little bit, and maybe we would get them next year. I just don't see this line not doing those 2 figures, and due to the fact we at least have Zed artwork that would match that kind of style, I wouldn't rule it off the table. But Rita, I'd say definitely is happening. Zed, I would say I'm kind of 50-50 on. We'll just have to wait and see. So where do I even begin with the Master Morpher? So there is a lot of stuff to talk about here. So first of all, I want to go ahead and give a big shout out to my buddies over at the Illuminati. If you don't know, I work with the Illuminati to write articles every once in a while and such like that, and they actually posted an exclusive article leaking this toy yesterday. Now, here's the thing. So the Master Morpher has kind of been, I would say, sort of a worst kept secret thing between certain circles of the fandom for a long period of time. In fact, as was brought to my attention a couple weeks ago, I actually publicly tweeted about the Master Morpher a while ago in a little public conversation with Jin Saku, who, if you don't know on Twitter, Jin sometimes posts some pretty accurate, like, actual leaks for the production side of Power Rangers and not really the toy side. So I forgot about that interaction, and I've been purposely not mentioning the Master Morpher in Lightning Storm episodes for a very, very long time. Because basically, so, you know, I have all my different sources that I talk about here on Lightning Storm occasionally, and I'm not going to spiel about this for too long, but I have a lot of different people tell me a lot of different things, and the Master Morpher is something that has leaked from so many different directions, for so many different people, for so many different reasons, that I was shocked that it wasn't public information yet. I don't know why yesterday was the date just given as, sure, let's do it. This all started with Joe, who runs the Illuminati, who posted a picture of it with hashtag Lightning Collection. Then I retweeted it and quote tweeted it with a video from Hasbro, which also kind of hinted towards the Master Morpher and all this other kind of stuff. And then we had the article released by Illuminati, which, even though I work with them, I actually didn't know that article was coming out. It just kind of was shadow dropped and all this kind of, or not shadow dropped, but like surprise dropped. So I wasn't expecting all of this kind of stuff. And then we have another thing, a whole other factor of this that I'm happy is public information now as well. So yes, we are getting a Lightning Collection Master Morpher. Yes. So I have been so excited for this for so long, because the Master Morpher, I think, is one of the absolute coolest things that has ever appeared on screen in Power Rangers. And if you don't know what it is Tommy's special morpher that he used in Dimensions in Danger, which was the 25th anniversary episode during Super Ninja Steel, where of course he has the iconic line, which I'll just go ahead and play.
You may look like me, but unless you got a Master Morpher, you ain't nothing but a cheap copy.
And then he uses this morpher to swap between different power coins to become all 5 of his Ranger forms. So Mighty Morphin Green, Mighty Morphin White, Zeo Red, Dino Thunder Black. He doesn't use Red Turbo in the episode, but he does use Red Turbo in the accompanying comic Soul of the Dragon, where the Master Morpher is kind of given a little bit more of a history behind it, and we actually get to see his like final uses of the Master Morpher. You get to see the Turbo coin in that episode. It's so cool. It's such a cool concept. It looks freaking awesome, and it's also not too terribly difficult of a toy for Hasbro to make. However, there's a story behind this one, as that's been hinted on Twitter by Joe from Illuminati and Toku Chris. There is a story behind this Morpher here, and that is that Hasbro was not originally going to be making a Master Morpher. In fact, as far as I know, they didn't even know what the Master Morpher was. It was something that was created very early in their like acquisition of the brand, and it was something that was at the very end of like the old, you know, Team's production stuff. It's something that I'm sure Bandai America would have made into a legacy toy had they still continued to have the license. But basically, we actually know because of, well, and I'm going to try not to get emotional for this, but we actually know that Hasbro's original plans were not a Master Morpher because of Jason David Frank. So a couple months ago, Kentucky Jam, Joshua Aaron Moore on Twitter, actually got to post this interview that he did with JDF like a year ago, and he let Ranger Command Power Hour post it as like an episode of their podcast. And there was a part of this that was cut out, that was not shared publicly, because it was a comment that JDF made about working with Hasbro on a Master Morpher, but he was under NDA for that. But now that the Master Morpher's existence is public, Josh has posted the clip here, which he's also allowed me to use in today's Lightning Storm. So I'm not going to try to explain it any better than, well, Jason David Frank himself can explain. So JDF, take it away.
So, and I did talk to, between me and you, I talked to Hasbro. They wanted me to do some Morpher thing, some stupid White Ranger, 22 White Ranger Morpher thing. And I said, you know what, you guys, okay, you ready for me to make you another million? Are you ready? Because I make you guys millions and I get shit from it, but you ready to make millions? I will only do a Master Morpher. Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. That's not a good idea. I got people duplicating them all day long. They're making them.
Yep.
Give people a Master Morpher. So I heard them rip up their other page with the White Ranger Morpher, the 22 White Ranger Morpher, that ripped that up, and that's between us though. But because I'm on an NDA, but we'll be doing I'll be doing a Master Morpher, which makes sense. So there you go, Hasbro. There's another $1 million. So let Tommy Oliver's legacy rest in peace until you guys can get your stuff together and give the actors something that they should do.
So as you heard in that clip, apparently the original plan was like a Green and White Ranger Morpher, which is something that I'm sure everybody was always expecting Hasbro to do at some point. Then he suggested the Master Morpher, and then Hasbro themselves, which is what I quote tweeted the whole Joe tweet from, they actually mentioned it kind of in their most recent fan stream, and it was Sam who actually mentioned it when they said this.
And I know, like, with the 30th anniversary year, we had some other stuff planned with him that we're going to reveal later on this year. I had the absolute honor of getting to work directly with him, and I think fans are going to really appreciate what's coming up.
Absolutely.
So that was from the Dino Thunder Black portion reveal of the live stream from a month ago, where they talked about working with JDF on upcoming projects. So yes, as far as I have been told, and what even JDF said and everything, Jason David Frank himself recorded voice lines for a Lightning Collection Master Morpher toy for Hasbro that's releasing this year in 2023, which is so bittersweet, but is also so cool that he knew that fans would like this toy. He knew fans wanted this thing. I mean, for years people have been making customs out of this thing. In fact, it pained me every time I saw somebody on Facebook post a custom Lightning Collection Master Morpher by buying a cheap Pink Ranger one from GameStop and customizing it, because I was like, but they're gonna do it. You know, people wanted this for 5 years, and they're gonna finally do it, and they were able to get JDF to record lines for it before his passing, and that's gonna make this toy very bittersweet, because it's gonna be something that's gonna be so cool. So cool, but it's also going to be very sad that it's kind of like his parting gift to us, basically, and it was never intended to be that, but it's just one of those really sad things. I also imagine that's why we haven't had it announced yet, because I'm sure they were kind of waiting for some time to pass. In fact, I was still surprised they even announced Dino Thunder Black as early as they did, you know, in respect or in retrospectively to the actual passing. But I don't know when this is going to be revealed. I don't know how much it's going to cost. As I already hinted back at a tweet at the end of January, I don't know for a fact, and this is true, I don't know, but I have a very sneaking suspicion that this is going to be one of, I think, 2 possible Hasbro PulseCon exclusive items for this year. This just feels like an item that they release as an exclusive. I would very, very much hope to be wrong with that, because I think that with I mean, this thing's going to sell like crazy. This thing's going to pre-order sell out so fast, and I think it just has a lot more weight behind it now because of what it's going to kind of represent. And so I would really hope that it isn't a PulseCon exclusive, because I'm sure it's going to make it very expensive and very hard to get. But I don't know. Maybe that was the original plan and they're going to change it, but I genuinely do not know how it's being released. But I know that it is being released this year, probably in the summer, if not the fall. I've heard some really cool things about it. I can't share more than that. I'm just happy that the existence of it is out there in the first place. But all I can share, it does exist. Shout out to Illuminati for being able to leak it. Shout out to Josh for being able to share that audio. And also, just shout out to Hasbro for actually making it a thing, you know? So it's one of those things where this was basically good job, everybody. You know, round of applause to everybody involved who was kind of in this whole leak of this process with this. And I'm happy that people can finally now budget for it, because it's going to be a very fan desired item there, and like I said, quite bittersweet. I mean, it's really sad to just know how much JDF loved us as a fandom, and, you know, loved being a Power Ranger, you know, beacon, you know, a totem pole of the franchise, and the fact that he did this kind of thing. He heard Hasbro wanting to do a Green and White Ranger Morpher, and he said no, what the fans would want would be a Master Morpher, and I think he's absolutely correct. And that's just, you know, even from beyond the grave, he's still just doing the best that he can for the brand, and that's just so freaking cool. So that's going to do it with this. A lot to cover here today. I'm really happy that whole story is out. In fact, I think the way that it came out with multiple people being involved in the leak and everything is so much better than if I just was able to just say it in a Lightning Storm episode, which was always kind of what I was thinking was going to happen whenever we got closer to it being a thing. But now this I think was the better way to do it, so that's going to do it. And with that, that's going to do it for this week's episode of Lightning Storm. Of course, until next time, I want to know your guys' thoughts about everything I talked about down in the comments below. Lots to talk about this week. Be sure to let me know, just out of curiosity, what production number or like batch number you have for Dino Fury Green. I am genuinely trying to figure out this whole situation here, and your comments are always going to help with that. And that's going to do it. So until next time, you guys can follow me on Twitter at LivingRangerKey or LightningFigPR, and I'll see you all in Lightning Storm. This is your lightning always strikes twice. To wrap up this video, I'd like to thank my $5 and above patrons: Jurassic Samurai, Maggot Alchemist, Robert Browning, Static Thunder, Brendan Overland, Maji Yellow, Redstone MCPC, Comics 1017, James Darty, Monster Rocket, John Luke, Eric Berry, Tyler Brzezinski, Matthew Thorne, Josh Landry, Paramitis, and CPT Tesla. You can support Toku Topics for as little as $1 a month on my Patreon, link in the description below.